Admiral Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He nearly dropped his cup as red lights flashed across the command center of Luna Station. The coffee was still hot on his tongue when his communications officer turned to him with wide eyes. "Sir, we have massive contacts appearing across the system. They just showed up out of nowhere." Jake set down his cup and walked to the main display screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Enormous ships hung in space above Earth, Mars, and every major human colony. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. The ships were dark and angular, like giant knives cutting through the black of space. "How many?" Jake asked, his voice steady despite the fear growing in his chest. 17 confirmed, sir. Maybe more. They appeared at the same time across 12 different star systems. Jake had been in the Space Navy for 23 years. He had fought pirates and dealt with asteroid miners who got too greedy, but he had never seen anything like this. The ships were clearly not human. They were something else entirely. "Get me President Rodriguez on the secure channel," Jake ordered, "and wake up every fleet commander in human space. Tell them we have visitors." On Earth, President Lisa Rodriguez was already in the Situation Room deep beneath the Capitol building. She had been pulled from her bed 30 minutes ago when the first reports came in. Now she sat at a long table surrounded by her top advisors, watching the same display that Jake was seeing on Luna Station. "Do we know what they want?" she asked General Nathan Price, her military advisor. "Not yet, ma'am. They haven't sent any communications. They just appeared, and they're waiting." Ambassador Claire Bennett leaned forward. "This could be first contact with an alien species. We need to be very careful about how we handle this." "Careful?" General Price laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Claire, they just put warships above every human world at the same time. This doesn't look like a friendly visit." Before anyone could respond, the main screen flickered. The image of the alien ships was replaced by something that made everyone in the room go silent. It was clearly not human. The creature had gray skin that looked like stone and 4 arms. Its eyes were completely black and larger than human eyes. When it spoke, the words came through in perfect English. "I am Overlord Vexthal of the Zephyrian Empire. You will listen to our terms." President Rodriguez felt her hands shake slightly, but she kept her voice calm. "This is President Lisa Rodriguez of the United Earth Government. We're listening. Your species has been selected for integration into the Zephyrian Empire. You have 7 of your standard days to surrender unconditionally. You will disarm your military forces and prepare your populations for relocation to work colonies within our territory." The alien's voice was flat and emotionless, like it was reading from a shopping list instead of demanding the surrender of the entire human race. "And if we refuse?" President Rodriguez asked. The screen changed to show images that made several people in the room look away. Cities burning, ships exploding, bodies floating in space. Then it showed other alien species working in what looked like mines and factories. They all had the same defeated look in their eyes. 17 species have been integrated into our empire. None have refused our terms twice. Your technology is primitive. Your military forces are inadequate. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. The transmission ended, leaving the Situation Room in complete silence. Roy Ellis had been in deep space for 6 months when he received the emergency recall message. His ship, the UES Explorer, was one of the fastest in the human fleet. He had been investigating strange energy readings near the edge of human space when the message came through. "Captain, we're getting reports of alien contact across all human worlds," his communications officer said. "Orders are to return to Earth immediately." Roy had seen the energy readings. They had been growing stronger for weeks. Now he understood what they meant. The aliens had been watching human space for a long time before they made their move. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed," he ordered. and send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them the energy signatures we've been tracking match the alien ships. They've been studying us. On Kepler 442b, one of the farthest human colonies, Governor Paul Martinez was holding an emergency meeting with the Colony Council. The alien ships had appeared above their world, just like everywhere else. But Paul had been a soldier before he became a politician. He knew what those ships meant. "We're not surrendering," he told the council. "I don't care what Earth decides. This colony will fight." "Paul, be reasonable," said Dr. Helen Wright, who ran the mining operations. "Look at those ships. We have maybe 50 security officers and some mining equipment. They could destroy this entire planet." "Maybe they could," Paul said, "but they're going to have to work for it. I've seen what happens to people who give up without a fight. It never ends well." Back on Luna Station, Admiral Jake Morrison was coordinating with fleet commanders across human space. The numbers were not good. Humans had maybe 300. Military ships spread across 12 star systems. The aliens had shown up with ships that were each bigger than a human battleship. "We can't fight them ship to ship," Admiral Tony Garcia said over the communication link from Mars Command. "Their technology is clearly superior." "Then we don't fight them ship to ship," Jake replied. "We fought the last war against pirates. By being smarter and faster. Maybe we can do the same thing here." Dr. Amy Foster was working late in her laboratory on Titan when the news reached her. She was studying human brain patterns for the military's new pilot training program. The research was supposed to help humans fly ships better. Now it might help them survive as a species. "Amy, did you see the news?" Her research partner Dr. Peter Kane asked as he rushed into the lab. "I saw it. 7 days to surrender or die." Amy looked at the brain scan data on her screen. "Peter, look at this. These readings from combat pilots. The neural activity is completely different from anything I've seen." "Different how?" "When humans get angry or determined, our brains produce these quantum resonance patterns. I've never seen anything like it in any other species we've studied." Peter looked at the data. "What does it mean?" "I'm not sure yet. But if these aliens use some kind of mind control technology to keep their slaves in line, this might be important. Human emotions might interfere with their systems." Lieutenant Commander Steve Johnson was on patrol near Jupiter when his sensors picked up something unusual. The alien ships were giving off energy readings that seemed unstable, like they were working harder than they should be to maintain their position. "Scan those ships again," he told his sensor operator. "Something's not right about their power signatures." "Sir, it looks like they're using a lot of energy just to stay in formation, more than our ships would need." Steve smiled for the first time since the aliens had appeared. "Send this data to Fleet Command immediately. Mark it Priority 1. I think these aliens might not be as superior as they want us to think." As the first day of the 7-day countdown ended, humanity began to prepare. Some talked about surrender. Others talked about fighting. But across human space, something was happening that the aliens had not expected. Instead of panic and despair, humans were getting angry. President Rodriguez ended her broadcast to the human colonies with simple words that would be remembered for generations. "We are human. We bow to no one. Whatever happens in the next 6 days, we will face it standing up." The Zephyrian Empire had demanded submission. But they were about to learn something that 17 other species had not been able to teach them. Humans were different. And when humans got angry, they became very dangerous indeed. 5 days remained until the alien deadline. Across human space, ships moved in patterns that had never been seen before. Every military vessel, every armed transport, every ship that could carry a weapon was heading toward Earth and the other. Major Colonies. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching the displays that showed human fleet movements. Ships were coming from everywhere, mining vessels from the asteroid belt, patrol boats from the outer colonies, even civilian ships that had been fitted with whatever weapons their crews could find. "Sir, Admiral Garcia is requesting permission to bring his Mars fleet to Earth orbit," his communications officer reported. "Tell him yes, and tell him to bring everything he has, even the training ships." Colonel Linda Thompson walked into the command center carrying a data pad. She had been working for 3 days straight, planning how to use the human fleet against an enemy that was bigger, stronger, and more advanced. "Jake, I've been studying the alien ship formations. They're using standard conquest patterns, the same ones they probably used on those other 17 species. What does that mean for us?" "It means they're following a playbook. They expect US to act like every other species they've conquered. Line up our ships and fight them in space like a traditional battle." Jake nodded. "So we don't do that." "Exactly. We hit them when they don't expect it, where they don't expect it. And we use weapons they haven't seen before." On Titan, Dr. Amy Foster was working around the clock with her research team. The brain scan data was showing results that excited and terrified her at the same time. Dr. Peter Kane had brought in samples of alien technology that had been recovered from small probes the invaders had sent down to various worlds. "Amy, look at this," Peter said, pointing to his computer screen. "The alien control systems are designed to work with neural patterns that are completely different from human patterns." "How different?" "Their brains produce steady, predictable wave patterns, very organized, very controlled. But human brains, especially when we're angry or scared, produce these chaotic quantum bursts." Amy stared at the data. "So they're mind control. Technology might not work on humans. It might not work well, especially if the human is experiencing strong emotions. The quantum interference could disrupt their systems. We need to test this. Can you build a small version of their control device?" "I think so. But Amy, if we're wrong about this." "If we're wrong, we're all dead anyway in 5 days." President Lisa Rodriguez was in her third emergency cabinet meeting of the day. The reports coming in from across human space painted a picture of a species preparing for total war. Factory complexes that had been building civilian goods were now producing weapons. Mining stations were converting their industrial equipment into military hardware. "Ma'am, we're getting reports that some of the outer colonies are refusing to evacuate," General Nathan Price said. "Governor Martinez on Kepler 442b is organizing the colonists into military units. He's requesting weapons and supplies. What about the other colonies?" Ambassador Claire Bennett looked up from her reports. "Mixed reactions. Some want to fight. Others want to negotiate. A few are talking about surrendering independently." "The colonies that want to surrender," President Rodriguez said slowly. "What's our official position?" "We can't stop them from making their own choices," General Price replied. "But we also can't protect them if they surrender and the aliens decide to eliminate them anyway. Send a message to all colonies. Tell them that Earth will fight. Any colony that wants to stand with us will have our full support. Any colony that chooses differently is on their own." On Europa, Captain Greg Lewis was turning ice miners into soldiers. The colony had never been intended as a military base, but it was about to become one. Greg had been a Marine before he came to Europa to run security for the mining operation. Now he was teaching farmers and engineers how to use military weapons. "The aliens will probably try to land troops," he told a group of colonists in the main meeting hall. "They'll want to capture the facilities intact. That means we'll be fighting them on the ground." A young woman named Beth Adams raised her hand. "What if they just decide to destroy the colony from orbit? Then we die. But we make them pay for it first." Greg's voice was calm, but there was fire in his eyes. "These aliens think humans are just another species they can push around. Let's show them how wrong they are. On Ceres, Major Beth Adams was dealing with the same situation. The asteroid mining station had become a fortress almost overnight. The miners had turned their drilling equipment into weapons. The docking bays were being converted into military staging areas. The good news is that we're used to working in space, Beth told her officers. The bad news is that the aliens probably are too. Ma'am, what about the civilian population? Asked Sergeant Rick Taylor. Anyone who wants to leave can take the next transport to Earth. Anyone who stays is part of the Defense Force. No exceptions. Intelligence. Officer Commander Sally Jenkins was working on something that had never been tried before. Using captured alien communication equipment, she was preparing to send messages to other species within the Zephyrian Empire. The plan was risky and probably impossible, but it was worth trying. If we can reach some of the enslaved species, we might be able to coordinate uprisings, she explained to President Rodriguez over a secure channel. Do we know if any of them would be willing to rebel? We don't know anything about them yet. But if humans are naturally resistant to alien mind control, maybe some of the other species are too. Maybe they've just been waiting for someone to make the first move. On the other side of the solar system, Captain Roy Ellis was leading a reconnaissance mission that was supposed to be impossible. His ship and 3 others were trying to get close enough to the alien fleet to gather detailed intelligence without being detected. Captain, we're picking up communication signals between the alien ships, his sensor officer reported. Can we decode them? Some of it. They seem to be discussing human defensive preparations. The aliens are surprised by how quickly we're mobilizing. Roy smiled grimly. Good, let them be surprised. Record everything and send it back to Fleet Command. Lieutenant Dan Brooks was commanding one of the other reconnaissance ships. His mission was to find out where the main alien fleet was based. The ships above human worlds were obviously just the invasion force. There had to be more ships somewhere else. Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the direction of Alpha Centauri, his navigation officer said. How massive? At least 50 ships, sir, maybe more. They're maintaining position about 2 light years from Earth. Dan felt his heart sink. If there were that many alien ships in reserve, humanity was even more outnumbered than they had thought. But he also felt something else. Determination. If the aliens thought they needed that many ships to defeat humanity, maybe humans were more dangerous than anyone realized. Dr. Foster's first test of the alien mind control device was conducted on a volunteer from the Luna Station Security Force. The man, Corporal Megan White, had asked to be the test subject despite the risks. Are you sure about this? Amy asked as they prepared the equipment. Doc, if this doesn't work, we're all going to be slaves anyway. Let's find out if we can fight. Back, Amy activated the alien device. For a moment, Megan's eyes went blank and she stood perfectly still. Then her face twisted with anger and she started fighting against the control. Within seconds, the alien device started sparking and smoking. Turn it off, Peter shouted, but Amy was already shutting down the system. Megan shook her head and looked around. Did it work? It worked, Amy said with a smile. It worked better than we hoped. The alien mind control can't handle human emotional responses. When you got angry, it overloaded their system. So humans can't be controlled, not easily and not for long. This changes everything. As the 5th day ended, humanity was no longer the same species that had received the alien ultimatum. Farms had become weapons factories. Civilians had become soldiers. Scientists had become military researchers. The aliens had given humans 7 days to surrender. Instead, humans had used those days to prepare for war. And deep in research labs and military command centers, they were discovering that they had advantages the aliens had never encountered before. Human emotions, which the aliens probably saw as a weakness, were actually a strength. The countdown continued, but humanity was no longer counting down to surrender. They were counting down to the moment when they would show the Zephyrian Empire what happened when someone threatened the human race. The aliens wanted submission. They were going to get fire instead. The deadline came at midnight, Earth time. President Lisa Rodriguez sat in the command bunker deep beneath the Capitol, surrounded by screens showing every human world. At exactly 0,000 hours, she spoke into the microphone that would broadcast her words across human space and directly to the alien fleet. This is President Rodriguez speaking for all of humanity. We have heard your terms. We reject them completely. We will not surrender. We will not submit. We will not become your slaves. If you want to destroy us, you will have to try. But we will make you pay for every human life you take. Her words were still echoing through space when the alien response began. Bright flashes appeared above Earth as the Zephyrian ships opened fire on military installations. Luna Station's shields flared as energy beams struck them. The war had begun. Admiral Jake Morrison watched from Luna Station's command center as the first alien attack hit Earth's orbital defenses. The enemy weapons were powerful, but they were hitting military targets only. The aliens still wanted the planet intact for their empire. All ships, this is Morrison. Execute Plan Thunder. Hit them hard and hit them fast. The human fleet didn't fight the way the aliens expected. Instead of forming battle lines, human ships scattered in all directions. Small groups of fast ships darted toward the alien vessels, fired their weapons, and then raced away before the aliens could respond effectively. Captain Roy Ellis commanded one of these attack groups. His ship, the U.S. Explorer, led 5 other vessels in a high-speed run against the Zephyrian cruiser above Mars. The alien ship was 3 times bigger than any human vessel, but Ellis had studied the intelligence reports about alien power systems. Target their energy collectors, he ordered. Those readings Steve Johnson sent us show they need a lot of power to maintain their shields. The human ships dove toward the alien cruiser, their weapons firing streams of metal projectiles instead of energy beams. The Zephyrians had shields that could deflect energy weapons, but the simple metal bullets punched through like the shields weren't even there. Direct hits on the power collectors, his weapons officer reported. Their shield strength is dropping. All ships concentrated fire on the main hull. Ellis commanded. The alien cruiser tried to turn to bring its heaviest weapons to bear, but it was too slow. Human ships were small and fast. The cruiser's energy beams missed completely as the human vessels swarmed around it like angry hornets. Then something happened that surprised everyone. The alien cruiser exploded. Did we do that? Ellis asked. In shock, sir, their power systems appear to be unstable. When we damaged the collectors, it caused a cascade failure throughout the ship. Admiral Tony Garcia was coordinating the defense of Mars when he received the report of the cruiser's destruction. For the first time since the war began, he allowed himself to hope. If human ships could destroy alien vessels, maybe they had a chance. All units, new targeting priority. Hit their power systems first, main weapons second. The enemy ships are not as tough as they look. The battle spread across the solar system. At Jupiter, Colonel Linda Thompson was leading a desperate defense of the orbital mining stations. The aliens were trying to capture the facilities intact, which meant they were sending boarding parties instead of just destroying everything. Thompson had prepared for this. The mining stations were full of traps and ambush points. Human defenders were hidden throughout the facilities, waiting for the aliens to come to them. Remember, these aliens have probably never fought anyone who didn't surrender immediately. She told her troops over the radio. They don't know how to handle real resistance. The first alien boarding pods attached to Mining Station 7. Thompson watched through security cameras as alien soldiers, tall and gray with 4 arms each, cut through the airlock doors. They moved in perfect formation, just like a textbook. Military operation. They walked straight into the first trap. combat engineer. Ray Murphy had rigged the main corridor with explosives. When the aliens reached the halfway point, he triggered the charges. The corridor collapsed, trapping half the alien force and crushing several of them under falling debris. "Contact front!" shouted Sergeant Rick Taylor as the surviving aliens tried to regroup. Human soldiers appeared from hidden positions throughout the station, firing automatic weapons at close range. The aliens were tough and well-armed, but they had never fought in close quarters before. Their weapons were designed for long-range battles in open space. In the narrow corridors of the mining station, human soldiers with simple projectile weapons had the advantage. "They're retreating to their boarding pods," Corporal Megan White reported. "Let them go," Thompson ordered. "But mark this down. These aliens can be beaten in ground combat." The most important battle was happening at Luna Station, where Admiral Morrison was defending the main command center for human space. The aliens were throwing everything they had at the station, trying to capture or destroy the facility that was coordinating human resistance. Lieutenant Commander Steve Johnson had brought his ship, the U.S. Vanguard, close to the station to help with the defense. His sensors were picking up something interesting about the alien attack patterns. "Admiral, the enemy ships are having trouble maintaining formation. Their power consumption is much higher than it should be." "What does that mean?" Morrison asked. "I think it means they're working harder than they expected to. Maybe fighting humans is more difficult than fighting their previous enemies." Dr. Amy Foster was monitoring the battle from her laboratory on Titan. She was watching something that excited her more than any scientific discovery she had ever made. Human prisoners who had been captured in the early fighting were breaking free from alien holding cells. The reports were coming in from across the battle zone. Humans who had been taken prisoner were escaping from alien ships. Some were even capturing alien equipment and using it against their captors. "Peter, look at this," she said to Dr. Kane. "The alien control systems aren't just failing to control humans. They're actually being damaged by human neural patterns. How is that possible?" Remember what we learned about human emotional responses. When humans get really angry, their brain activity becomes chaotic. That chaos is interfering with alien technology on a quantum level. One of those escaped prisoners was Kevin Brown, a security officer from Europa who had been captured during the first alien landing attempt. He had been placed in an alien holding cell with some kind of neural control device attached to his head. The device was supposed to keep him calm and obedient. Instead, Kevin had gotten angrier and angrier thinking about what the aliens were doing to his home. Finally, his rage had become so intense that the control device overloaded and caught fire. Now Kevin was loose inside an alien battlecruiser, armed with captured alien weapons, and looking for a way to cause as much damage as possible. Human. "Bridge control, this is Kevin Brown. I'm inside enemy ship designation Alpha 7. Can anyone hear me?" "Kevin, this is Luna Control. We can hear you. What's your status?" "I'm in their engine room. These aliens build their ships like everything else they do. Very organized, very predictable. I think I can overload their power systems. Kevin, that will destroy the ship. You won't survive." Kevin looked around at the alien technology surrounding him. He thought about his friends on Europa who were probably fighting for their lives right now. He thought about the 17 other species that had been enslaved by these invaders. "Luna Control, tell my family I died fighting. Tell them humanity doesn't surrender." The alien battlecruiser exploded 5 minutes later, taking out 2 other enemy ships that were flying too close to it. The first day of fighting ended with results that no one had expected. The aliens had destroyed several human military installations and captured some minor facilities. But they had also lost 4 major warships and dozens of smaller vessels. More importantly, they had learned that humans were not like any enemy they had faced before. Overlord Vexthal, was receiving reports from his fleet commanders that disturbed him deeply. The humans were not fighting according to any recognized pattern. They used primitive weapons that somehow penetrated advanced shields. They refused to surrender even when facing certain death. Worst of all, they seemed to get more dangerous the more desperate their situation became. Overlord, our neural control systems are completely ineffective against human prisoners, his science officer reported. In fact, human neural activity appears to be damaging our equipment. How is that possible? We don't understand it yet, but we may need to reconsider our approach to this species. Governor Paul Martinez was coordinating the defense of Kepler 442b when he received a message. That changed everything. Intelligence reports indicated that other species within the Zephyrian Empire were starting to rebel. The news of human resistance was spreading, and it was inspiring uprisings on worlds that had been enslaved for decades. Maria, are you getting these reports? He asked Intelligence Officer Maria Santos. Yes, sir. It looks like our fight is becoming their fight too. The Zephyrians are having to divert ships to deal with rebellions on at least 6 different worlds. Good. Let them spread their forces thin. The more enemies they have to fight, the better our chances become. As the first day of war ended, humanity had learned something important. The Zephyrian Empire was not invincible. Theresa. 3 months had passed since the first alien attack. The war had spread across human space and beyond, becoming something that no one had expected. What started as an invasion had turned into a galaxy-wide rebellion against the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral Jake Morrison now commanded the human fleet from a hidden base inside a large asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The base had been carved out by mining equipment and turned into a fortress that the aliens couldn't find. From here, Morrison coordinated hit-and-run attacks against alien supply lines. Sir, we have reports from 12 different star systems, his communications officer said. The aliens are having to send ships to put down rebellions on worlds they conquered years ago. Morrison smiled as he looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed alien fleet positions. Blue dots showed human forces. But now there were green dots too, representing rebel forces from other species who were fighting alongside humans. It seems like the galaxy was just waiting for someone to throw the first punch, Morrison said. How are our supply lines holding up? Better than expected, sir. The captured alien equipment is working well with our hybrid weapon systems. Dr. Peter Kane was leading the team that had made those hybrid weapons possible. Working in a secret laboratory on Titan, Kane and his researchers had learned to combine human and alien technology in ways that neither species had imagined. The key is that human and alien technology work on completely different principles. Kane explained to a group of engineers. Our systems are designed to be flexible and adaptable. Those are designed to be efficient and controlled. When we combine them, we get weapons that are both powerful and unpredictable. The newest human warships were armed with these hybrid weapons. Energy cannons that could change their frequency in the middle of a battle. Shields that could absorb alien energy attacks and convert them into power for human systems. Missiles that could think for themselves and adapt to enemy countermeasures. Captain Roy Ellis was testing one of these new ships in a raid against an alien supply convoy near Saturn. His vessel, the U.S. Defiant, looked like a human ship from the outside, but was filled with captured alien technology. Target the convoy escorts first, Ellis ordered. Let's see how they handle our new toys. The Defiant's hybrid weapons opened. Fire. Instead of the simple metal projectiles that human ships had used in the early battles, these were smart rounds that could change direction in flight and penetrate alien shields by shifting their energy frequency. The alien escort ships tried to respond, but their weapons couldn't lock onto the Defiant properly. The human ship's hybrid shields made it appear to be in 3 different places at once on alien sensors. Sir, the escort ships are breaking off, Alice's tactical officer reported. They can't get a clear shot at us. Excellent. Move in on the supply ships. Let's see what they're carrying. Colonel Greg Lewis had been promoted after his successful defense of Europa. Now he was leading special operations across the outer colonies, teaching other human forces how to fight aliens on the ground. The aliens were good soldiers, but they had learned to fight against enemies who gave up quickly. Humans didn't give up. The key to beating them in close combat is to make them angry, Lewis explained to a group of colonial marines on Ceres. Aliens fight like machines, very precise, very controlled. But when they get frustrated, they make mistakes. Major Beth Adams, who had become Lewis's second-in-command, demonstrated the technique using captured alien weapons. Their guns are designed for long-range combat in open areas. In tight spaces, human weapons are actually better. The training was interrupted by an emergency call. Alien forces were attacking a mining colony in the asteroid belt. The colonists were requesting immediate assistance. Looks like we get to test our theories in real combat, Lewis said. Adams, get the team ready. We're going hunting. Intelligence. Officer Commander Sally Jenkins was monitoring something that excited the entire human command structure. Her broadcasts to enslaved species throughout the Zephyrian Empire were working. Rebellions were breaking out on dozens of worlds. The aliens are having to recall ships from the human front to deal with uprisings on their homeworlds, she reported to President Rodriguez during a secure communication session. Some of these rebel groups are asking for human military advisors. Can we spare anyone? Rodriguez asked. Actually, yes. Some of our people who escaped from alien ships have learned their language and understand their technology. We could send small teams to help coordinate the rebellions. One of those escaped prisoners was Lieutenant Dan Brooks, who had spent 2 weeks aboard an alien ship before escaping. He had learned enough of their language to understand their communications and had memorized the layout of their ships. I volunteer to go, Brooks said when Jenkins explained the mission. These aliens took me prisoner. I think it's time to return the favor. Dr. Amy Foster's research had become crucial to the war effort. Her discoveries about human neural patterns were being used to develop new weapons and defenses. But her most important discovery was still being kept secret from most of the human military. Peter, we need to tell them, she said to Dr. Kane as they reviewed the latest test results. What we've learned about human neural patterns isn't just about resisting alien mind control. Amy, if we're wrong about this ... we're not wrong. Look at the data. Human emotional responses don't just interfere with alien technology. They can actually control it. The test data showed that humans experiencing intense emotions could actually take command of alien systems. Fear could shut down alien weapons. Anger could overload their power systems. But most importantly, human determination could turn alien technology against the aliens themselves. We need to train people to use this ability, Foster said. If humans can learn to control their emotional responses, they can turn any alien ship into a human weapon. The first test of this theory came when Scout Nancy Green was captured during a reconnaissance mission near Jupiter. Green had been one of the volunteers for Foster's emotional response training. When the aliens tried to interrogate her using their neural interface technology, something unexpected happened. Instead of the aliens reading Green's mind, Green started reading theirs. The connection worked both ways, and human neural patterns were stronger than alien ones. Green learned the location of the main alien fleet base before she escaped by taking control of the alien ship's systems through sheer force of will, command. This is Green. I'm free, and I have intelligence that will change this war. The location Green discovered was a massive alien fleet base in a system 20 light-years from Earth. The base contained over 200 ships, including the flagship of Overlord Vexthal himself. It was the heart of the alien invasion force. General Nathan Price was coordinating the military response to this intelligence, when he received another piece of good news. Human industrial capacity had been completely converted to war production. Factories that had once built civilian goods were now producing warships faster than anyone had thought possible. "We now have more ships than we started the war with," Price reported to President Rodriguez. "Our losses have been replaced, and we're building new vessels every day." What about crew training? That's the interesting part. Humans seem to learn space combat faster than any other species the aliens have encountered. Our pilots are adapting to new ship designs and weapon systems in days instead of months. Admiral Tony Garcia was preparing for something that had never been attempted before. Using the intelligence about the alien base location, human forces were planning a coordinated strike that would involve ships from across human space and rebel forces from other species. "This is our chance to end the war," Garcia explained to his fleet commanders. "If we can destroy their main base, the aliens won't be able to coordinate their scattered forces." The plan was ambitious and dangerous. Human forces would have to travel 20 light-years through alien-controlled space, coordinate with rebel allies they had never met, and attack a base that was heavily fortified and defended by the best ships in the alien fleet. But humans had learned something important. During 3 months of war, they were not the weak, primitive species the aliens had expected. Human technology was more adaptable than alien technology. Human tactics were more creative than alien tactics. And human determination was stronger than alien confidence. Roy Ellis was selected to lead the reconnaissance force that would scout the alien base before the main attack. His ship, now equipped with the most advanced hybrid technology humans had developed, would need to get close enough to map the defenses without being detected. "Remember, this isn't just about humans anymore," Ellis told his crew as they prepared to leave. "There are dozens of species counting on us to succeed. If we can break the alien fleet here, rebellions will spread throughout their empire." As Ellis's ship disappeared into hyperspace, heading toward the most important battle in human history, people across human space waited for news. The war had changed humanity in ways that no one could have predicted. Farmers had become soldiers. Scientists had become weapons designers. Miners had become fleet commanders. But most importantly, humans had learned that they were not alone in the galaxy. There were other species who valued freedom as much as humans. The final battle began at dawn, Earth time. Captain Roy Ellis had completed his reconnaissance mission and sent back detailed maps of the alien fleet base. What he found surprised everyone. The base was even larger than expected, but it was also poorly defended. The aliens had never needed to protect their home base before. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded the combined human and rebel fleet from his flagship, the U.S. Victory. The ship was a perfect example of what humans had become during the war. It looked like a human vessel, but was filled with hybrid technology that made it more powerful than any ship either species had built alone. "All ships, this is Morrison. Today we end this war. Remember, we're not just fighting for humanity. We're fighting for every species that values freedom." The fleet that jumped into the alien system was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships flew alongside vessels from 12 different rebel species. Each ship was painted with the symbol that had become the mark of the rebellion, a simple human hand holding a torch. Admiral Tony Garcia led the first wave of attacks against the outer defenses of the alien base. His ships moved in formation, patterns that the aliens couldn't predict because they had been developed by combining human creativity with alien precision. "Target their communication arrays first," Garcia ordered. "If we can stop them from coordinating their defense, we can take them apart piece by piece." The hybrid weapons that Dr. Peter Kane had developed proved their worth in the opening minutes of the battle. Alien defense platforms that had seemed impossible to destroy were torn apart by weapons that could adapt their attack patterns faster than the alien computers could respond. Colonel, Linda Thompson was leading the ground assault, teams that would capture key facilities on the alien base. Her troops included humans and rebels from other species, all trained in the fighting techniques that humans had perfected during months of warfare. "Remember, the aliens are going to fight harder here than they have anywhere else," Thompson told her soldiers as their transport ships approached the base. "This is their last stand, but it's also ours. We win here, or we don't win at all." The alien defenses were formidable, but they were designed to fight enemies who used conventional tactics. Human forces didn't use conventional tactics. They used whatever worked, combining stolen alien technology with human weapons and tactics that no species had ever developed before. Combat engineer Ray Murphy led a team that captured the main power station for the alien base. Instead of attacking it directly, they used captured alien stealth technology to sneak inside, and then human explosives to destroy the power core from within. "Power's down in sections 1 through 5, Murphy reported. "Their shields are failing across half the base." Sergeant Rick Taylor was leading a squad of human and rebel soldiers through the corridors of the alien command center. The aliens had never fought in close quarters against multiple species working together. Their tactics were designed for fighting one enemy at a time. "The rebels know how alien security systems work," Taylor explained to his human soldiers. "We know how to fight in tight spaces. Together, we're unstoppable." The most important part of the battle was happening in space, where Captain Roy Ellis was leading a strike force directly at Overlord Vexthal's flagship. The alien commander had never lost a battle in his long career. He had conquered 17 species without ever facing serious resistance, but he had never fought humans before. "Ellis, this is Morrison. You're cleared for final approach. Make it count." Ellis's ship, the UES Defiant, had been equipped with Dr. Amy Foster's latest discovery. The ship's entire crew had been trained in emotional response techniques that would allow them to take control of alien systems through direct neural interface. "All hands prepare for neural contact," Ellis announced. "Remember your training. Stay angry, stay focused, and don't let them into your head." When the Defiant made contact with the alien flagship, something happened that had never occurred before in the history of the Zephyrian Empire. Instead of the aliens taking control of the human ship, the humans took control of the alien ship. Corporal Megan White was the first human to establish neural contact with the alien systems. Her anger at what the aliens had done to her home world created quantum resonance patterns that overwhelmed the alien computer networks. "I'm in," she reported. "Their entire system is fighting me, but human emotions are stronger than their control programs." One by one, the human crew members established connections with different parts of the alien flagship. Lieutenant Dan Brooks took control of the weapon systems. Sergeant Nancy Green took over navigation. Within minutes, the most powerful ship in the alien fleet was under human control. Overlord Vexthal was in his command center when the reports started coming in. His own ship was no longer responding to his orders. The weapons were turning to fire on other alien vessels. The shields were protecting human attack ships instead of defending against them. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science. "Officers, Overlord, the human neural patterns are unlike anything we have ever encountered. They don't just resist our control systems, they take them over." For the first time in his long military career, Vexthal felt something he had never experienced before: fear. Not fear of death, which was just another tactical consideration, but fear of the unknown. These humans were something completely outside his understanding of how the universe worked. The battle turned decisively when the alien flagship began broadcasting surrender signals. Ellis had programmed the ship's computers to send messages throughout the alien fleet, ordering all ships to stand down and surrender to the human rebel alliance. Some alien ships tried to fight on, but their crews were demoralized by seeing their most powerful vessel captured and turned against them. Others began surrendering immediately when they realized that continuing to fight was hopeless. President Lisa Rodriguez was monitoring the battle from Earth when the reports of victory started coming in. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to believe that humanity would survive this war. "Ma'am, we're receiving surrender requests from alien commanders throughout their empire," General Nathan Price reported. "The rebellions on their home worlds are succeeding. Their entire military structure is collapsing." Dr. Foster was watching the neural interface data from the battle when she realized the full implications of what humans had accomplished. They hadn't just won a war. They had discovered something that would change the galaxy forever. "Peter, do you understand what this means?" she asked Dr. Kane as they reviewed the data. "Humans can interface with any technology in the galaxy. We can take control of alien systems not through hacking or force, but through pure emotional will. It means humans are going to be very popular allies," Kane replied with a smile, "and very dangerous enemies." The formal surrender came 12 hours after the battle began. Overlord Vexthal, now a prisoner aboard his own ship, requested a meeting with Admiral Morrison. The alien commander wanted to understand how his empire had been defeated by what he had considered a primitive species. "Your species is unlike any we have encountered," Vexthal admitted when he was brought before Morrison. "We have conquered 17 civilizations, but none of them fought as you have fought. What made them different?" Morrison asked. "They surrendered when we demonstrated our superior technology. They accepted that resistance was futile. They acted logically." Morrison nodded. "Humans don't always act logically. When someone threatens our freedom, we get angry. When someone hurts our families, we get stubborn. When someone tells us we can't do something, we find a way to do it anyway. Is this why your neural patterns can control our technology?" "Maybe. Our scientists think it's because human emotions create quantum effects that your computers can't handle. But I think it's simpler than that. We refuse to accept that anything is impossible." The war ended not with the destruction of the Zephyrian Empire, but with its transformation. The enslaved species throughout their territory were freed and began forming their own governments. The Zephyrian military was disbanded, and their leaders were tried for crimes against sentient species. Governor Paul Martinez returned to Kepler 442b to find that his colony had become a symbol of resistance throughout the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of species visited to learn about human determination and fighting spirit. "We started this war just trying to defend our homes," Martinez told a gathering of rebel leaders from across the galaxy. "We're ending it as part of something much bigger. A galactic alliance based on freedom and cooperation instead of conquest and slavery." The final count of the war showed that humanity had accomplished something unprecedented. They had faced an enemy with superior technology and numbers, and not only survived, but won decisively. The Zephyrian Empire, which had existed for over 1,000 years, had fallen in less than a year of fighting against humans and their allies. But more importantly, humanity had discovered their place in the galaxy. They were not the strongest species or the most technologically advanced, but they had something that made them unique: the ability to inspire others to fight for freedom and the determination to never give up no matter how bad things looked. Admiral Morrison stood on the BR